If you watch that
don't.
on YouTube, you'll know what I mean.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I'm thinking there was no autopsy that was ordered, so there's nothing out of the norm except where you picked up a body
Ooh.
and now it's in storage.
Ah.
And it's assuming from my.
Alright, well, it's a split sentiment at the moment regarding the whole process of Trials of the Nine, Trials of Osiris, however the emphasis is to be. I'm both saddened and happy that it's arrived at this state of shelved activity. People saying Destiny needs Trials is not completely true, otherwise D2 wouldn't have lasted this long after Forsaken's launch, when they removed it in the first place. Shadowkeep's going to be a huge sandbox rework that Bungie's going to be investing in, so the wheels are already in motion. I made my comment here between Aztec Gaming's posts regarding his view about the Trials of the Nine being shelved, as well as True Vanguard. And I stated in the comment sections in full how I felt. There's probably a pretty good chance that they really won't be read, considering it's going to be overshadowed by dozens of other people also on the same post, and that's all good. That's what my video here is for. Also, my shout out to the Destiny Trials Finder and the Trials community in the Bungie community. I look forward to future actions in the competitive community with a lot of you guys. I hope a lot of you are as interactive as the few people that I've met so far upon my introductory into the community, or into you guys' small branch of the Bungie online disposition. And so I look forward to interacting with you guys more over time. You all will also get a chance to hear my take on Trials of the Nine as well. Trials overall, actually. Aztec Gaming touched on a good point about why Trials was removed overall. I got the link listed down below to Aztec's video analogy. So, for my take on this, okay, Forsaken was the first layer to change everything in-game because it exposed the meta in full, and nothing was nice or forgiving in the past realization of what's being played or used out of popularity and necessity constantly, and what's not there as a general use of PvP meta. The variety of weapons that do God knows what for any situation imaginable that can just pop up out of nowhere, but is continuously lacking commonsensical loadouts or builds. And then again, with the adjustment of the kill timer going up very faster. The kill timer being faster, so kills are made faster rather than being thought out more, which promotes rushing in a sense. And then you're running doubles of almost any mainstream weapon type, as well as the connection process that may be lacking at times, or running into different types of connectivities, thus introducing an element or unnecessary element of DDoSing bullshit. A lot about Destiny 2 was in a gradually expanding crappy place, I feel, before Forsaken revived the gameplay. It was like a clean wipe of a pinnacled activity slowly flowing to a different outlet for a change of pace before a new pinnacle outlet for competitive players just happened to pop up, which I'm guessing was to be Gambit at that time, since competitive was going to take a backseat to Trials or Gambit anyway. I'm going to actually say Gambit Prime more so than Gambit, since people seem to enjoy the premise of Gambit Prime more so than Gambit, and while Gambit Prime is longer, it's a little bit more rewarding for the same general premise. The pinnacle weaponry being associated with competitive is the main reason why competitive had its highlights, good and bad all the same. It's like what other streamers and YouTubers are doing. Just like what they're doing, I too will be temporarily pulling my cards off the table with Destiny till the establishment of the new sandbox assessment is done. It was a previous thing I had said my 2 cents on about taking a break from the general competitive scene, so I have no reason to really invest a lot of dedicated time to wanting to do anything until the game actually shows me otherwise. And that's cool. I got other games that I'm working on right now, between Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, or Dragon Ball FighterZ, or Monster Hunter World, or even slowly making my return back into the Dragon Ball Xenoverse continuity. I got plenty of other interests to keep myself occupied on other competitive platforms that I seek to embrace. There's nothing I'm really missing out on, to be honest. Now, to tell you what Trials meant to me, to go that far is to tell you a story, and so I will. I will tell you all a pretty good story here, community, and you can listen or don't listen at this point. It's fine with me. When I go to tell the people the story in person, it's generally ignored, so it will be here for the viewer that does wish to listen to what it is I am saying. The wanting of in-depth competitive trafficking and competition is linked to my backstory of why I'm still here in Destiny, or wanting to have anything to do with Destiny 2 willingly. In a sense, yeah, it does have to do with proving something, but only to myself. Other people already believe me to be trash or highly weak without knowing fully my agenda or intentions, so I don't seek to waste my time to explain something to stupid-ass deaf people. I have this here for those that care. Trials of Osiris, to me, is like the NFL for football fans or WrestleMania for WWE fans. It's where you end up at for the face-off of your life that determines what level of greatness or contentment you can seek in the competitive area or in the general competitive arena. Trials is where a competitive player goes to see what they can do and what they're made of against stacked players or any of the iconic players scattered through Destiny media that rose into a status or public state of being from going through this area of unique competitiveness, regardless of wins and loss, and the regular high-tier combatants that force you to take your gaming to the next level to progress, short of no progress and or being carried. Back in the day when I first did Trials, it wasn't fun at all, because I lacked the experience to survive any games, and I was always the target of highly sought criticism or bullying from acquaintances or friends that were not my friends, and smartasses and hecklers every time I went into this activity before I met my core group now. Two of which are still here from those days. Being a whole other person now compared to who I was then back on the first Destiny game and the person I was during Trials of the Nine, I feel I've reached a whole other plateau of myself that can last and be more effective for this high traffic area of mass competition and strain. It's easier said than done, but I don't know how strong I really am or can grow to be till I seek another go-round in a massively stressful environment such as this, where you see as much variety as you will see for hundreds of thousands of people seeking the exact same end game. It also means that I'd have to fully dedicate myself to Destiny at those times to stay in peak form, to give a good output for myself and to my team without wearing myself out too much or too soon, and without emotional attachment or without emotions heavily driving my consistency. Like playing while angry all the time. Comes a point where a guy needs to really stop playing angry all the time, but there's a lot of elements that do force that. I seek hard and likely very painful glory in a sense from all this. Glory in being finally acknowledged in this wretched Destiny community after all these years for what I can do and what I'm not told from hearsay or ignored by lazy, ignorant people. KD is meaningless to this game. It's highly deceiving a lot of the time, as people like me, or with my comparable KD ratio, have proved time and again. Consistency is very nice, yes, but numbers are just numbers at the end of the day. Your next question is, what do I seek from all of this, actually? So, let me also explain that. I seek one thing from going through all this trouble and wanting Trials back, if it does ever so grace this gridiron again. That is just basic, credible acknowledgement. That's all I seek out of this. I don't really seek fame. Fame is what I already kind of have from doing YouTube for all the misery it gives me, unfortunately. No, I just want some credible acknowledgement. I want my name to stand side by side as something of an iconic symbol, temporary or otherwise, to this trade, because I seek to, at that time, turn my content into PvP-based content only, to deliver on an area that isn't fully covered by other Destiny media, or is not covered in depthly for trying to put yourself at the center of a lot of PvP media, for fear of the lack of the sandbox meta knowledge, or maybe hecklers trying to take advantage of people, or pending personal KD or crucible exposure of KD, like you're building yourself up to look bigger than you really are in a competitive platform. That's not the case for a lot of people, but I know that there are some people that do try to get away with doing that type of boosting to where you make yourself look good, but you are not actually good. A lot of past Destiny YouTubers, on the other hand, have been good that do their content. And when they delve into what they delve into, they generally have the facts to back that up. And they have their own share of stats to share with that as well, regardless of other people's like or dislike of the person or said person's viewpoints. Once upon a time, I had a little credibility to my name in Destiny for a small time, to where I was fairly content with all I was doing before the scene died off. Constant criticism of my work comes and goes from wannabes and nobodies, or even fellow players and past friends, because I always do PvP openly, and I always put a light to my combative capabilities that I'm proud to show or demonstrate in how I like to play that's different from other people. The main thing I like about that era of Destiny ultimately was that I stood in nobody's shadow all the time. I wasn't compared to anybody else, and I never was compared to anybody else, because no one had my style of play, or the way I think, what I do that brings a sense of self-worth to the table. I'm my own tactician, and I've always been my own tactician because I'm a tactical-based player. I've always been one, and that's never going to change. I seek to turn myself into a beacon of constructive hope for other established players, thinking what they do here in the gaming community doesn't matter when it does matter. Like, you think you can't be great or fair or decently knowledgeable player in your own right, when in all regards, you can be better than you think you can. In addition, needless to say, I almost have to be another competitive monster in order to achieve that level of higher competitive establishment, to where everything I do can be a little bit more tightly wound or fairly respected in a sense, and it doesn't have to be questioned just because it's different. It just has to be tweaked some because it may not be effective or be as effective. I think about a lot of past greats through the Destiny's history, and a lot of past YouTubers that really raised the bar in doing Destiny YouTubing and trying to establish a little bit of humanity in general Destiny playing through the years, that has set their own standard for enjoying this community, and are revered people throughout the community for their past services throughout the community. Like, I think about Mesa Sean and Mudaro and Drewski, Real Crafty and Fallout Plays, and Wish You Luck, Double X, Triple Wreck, Blessius, Mrs. 5000 Watts, and the legend himself. Hell, even True Vanguard. Like, people like them in this community, I think about those guys a lot. I think about all of them when I do this from time to time. Then you see my name right there with them, is what I would like. It's not as big as theirs, but it's just as important to some degree to know that I'm in that league, or at least I'm trying to be. They're not always open about whatever it is they do for reasons. I'm wanting to be open about everything it is that I do with the community, because I have nothing to hide or seemingly gain from possible falsification or falsely advertising my own statistics or my viewpoints. Also, as they've sought to make a difference through the community in different ways to establish awareness, solidarity, and subtle change throughout the Destiny-verse, I aim to try and do the same in my own way. Or with my own touch, however it is I can do that. I haven't figured it out yet, since I don't know yet. I know once upon a time, for what it is that's on my file, I have this proclaimed title that was given from a lot of the past Destiny competitive gaming clans I was associated with. And it's on record from past clan leaders that they called me the Prince of Snipers at one point, because I always clipped targets left and right for kills, turning corners and camping tight angles for kills and body tags, but not always headshots, even though I can clearly just get headshots when I'm not thinking about it, or I get them off of adrenaline rushes. Or emotional duress, as well as adrenaline rushes. They seem to award me headshot kills at the cost of a massive amount of fatigue each game as it continues in that sitting. It's a very strong, flawed, yet imperfect, self-taught, precision-based playstyle that, unfortunately, I owe nobody to except for myself, and much misery that I gave myself in order to master that craft, for however the imperfectness it may encompass, as well as a number of the unhealthy, toxic influences that almost really drove me mad once upon a time, because I just put myself through that much pain in order to play Destiny to an unhealthy religious extent at that point, where I literally just eat, sleep, and breathe this game's crucible day in and day out for hours and hours on end, non-stop. I mirrored this just as much, if not more so, than during my run during the Transformers scene. And there is a reason why all that was how it happened, which I'll get to. But again, a lot of the people back in those days had a serious problem with me actually being highly skilled, or some of them having a problem with me being better than them because of how I act, or how I choose to act, or how I carry myself. It's never respected in full, because in some way or form there were people still wanting to believe that they were better than me after all this time, or wanting me to be lesser than who I am and who I'm meant to be, when it's far from the facts or the reality of the situation that's choosing to be ignored. Staying here long-term in Destiny 2, I even had an open panel once upon a time to test my skills against the new age of Destiny players here in this generation of Destiny competition. But the numbers grew against wanting to do any type of competitive Destiny matches outside what was given or handed to you to use or explore. Again, I was given I'm wanting them. Dozens did not want them because they're quote-unquote no purpose for them, or because this isn't Call of Duty. There's tens of thousands of competitive players on this game from what I see and read every day, yet only 3 or 4 were really that interested to want to fight me in a clean, wholesome series of bouts. Everyone says they're good or so great, but they didn't want to see the friendly competitive games in order to further test ourselves. Easily for fear of judgment, prioritized inattention, pride, condescension, ridicule, or scorn. There was always an excuse that I was heard, but I endured it all the same because I didn't think anything of it. But anyway, after those few matches, the season ended. Those particular people, or people that could have been like them, disappeared, and I went back to being fully ignored again like a fucking nobody on Bungie.net global sites. A person gets tired of being looked down on all the time, like I have to keep proving something to people that don't care what or who I am outside my KD numbers, when I would rather just like to be respected and accepted for what I can do and have done. But that can't happen. It's too much to ask for from this community, even in modern day. None of it is okay, but I have to accept this to still be here in the competitive scene until change happens. Honestly, if things could work in my favor, I'd like that opportunity to really earn something greater in the bigger picture of the competitive scene, so it's on record outside the clans I played for or alongside about my talents, through many highs and lows. Like, an opportunity to do better in the right direction, without any excess negative drive or influence. If I make it, cool. I can be a pro-level player for this gridiron, finally, and get my name back out here even more, and be made aware of so I can grow. actually grow. If I can't make it, then it's okay that I can't make it. I'll likely be ridiculed naturally, but that's fine. Haters will hate that I supposedly don't belong on their level when I always have. But it's the fact that at least I could have tried, and would have tried to get that far using the tools available to me and my friends both. But it's gone now, until an indefinite, whenever change may happen on the books. And I'll probably not have that chance to actually reach my full potential for quite a while, if ever again. And I gotta live with that. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on the current state of Trials of Osiris being taken away indefinitely. That's all there is to it. And thanks for getting a chance to sit and listen to me and just listen to my thoughts on it. Peace.
To you, say it like that. If I hate you, then I'm someone new. Baby, but you know